Hi everyone, it's a bit of a delicate topic today. We'll see about the emotion of losing someone, when the body tries to speak to us and communicate any emotion that we're not quite looking at. We'll briefly touch upon incarnation and the idea of this life experience, and if we are open to consider the communication with our soul or the one of others, or just our spirit guides, as many people refer to, what to consider, what are a few things that we can practice, and most importantly, few considerations on discernment, what to pay attention to, what to be aware of. So I'll share this story, which is a very vulnerable story. Those of you in Sydney that knows me, most of you would know me from teaching classes as Pilates, bar, yoga in big gyms. And the other day, in a very big one in Bondi Junction, a beautiful, lovely lady came to me just 30 seconds before going on stage, all lights on, 40 people underneath the stage. And she was so dear in wanting me to pass the information. And she just told me, you remember that lady that was here in the first row? She just passed away. She passed away Monday at night during the sleep. And that was quite shocking. So it was like receiving a big punch. And this is nothing to do with me. Huge condolences to the family of this lady. The reflection was, oh, as a big impact especially, so many emotion. Within that fraction of a moment, rising up and having to spring scene condensed down because I couldn't have the opportunity to release and process the emotion, to look at them and examine and understand and then put them into place. I needed to be on stage, and there were a few people that maybe didn't know, and they had the right to enjoy their experience for the class. So lights on stage, I really needed to be impeccable in delivering that peaceful experience. I didn't either have the time to think or make any comment on the fact without having the chance also to validate or to look upon it. The experience was that, like, I made a self-reminder to myself. I obviously made a comment with the lady and those ones that were touched by this happening. I sent all my deepest condolences to the family. This was such a lovely lady, just so inspirational. She would do Pilates, she would stay back to pump, she would try her best. I really applauded and supported through the journey. So it was very, very sad. I had to hold here. The reminder for everybody, the opportunity of reflection that can be shared with people was like, when we repress the emotion, whether that's grief or any other emotion, look, sometimes could also be a positive emotion. It could be joy, that you haven't got the chance to celebrate for whatsoever reason. But in this case, an emotion that is sad or heavy or grief, and we put it aside because for whatsoever reason we're not allowed, or maybe we think it's not appropriate in that moment to open, we haven't got the time to process it. I see this very commonly from solo parents. When something happened and they're solo, they have the children to look after, and they haven't got the opportunity to allow themselves to fall in the pain and to process, to feel it through the body, to acknowledge it, to salute it, like to say thank you or bye, or learn whatever they need to learn from that emotion, and then put things into place and continue to go. So all my compassion and light also to career or solo parents, that these moments happens much more often than regular people. When we start putting that emotion aside and we don't look at it, it's important to make a self-reminder for us to go back when it's safe to do so, when we have time, to create a time, to open that box and actually allow ourselves to sit with that emotion, to let it come up, what it wants to tell, how it wants to manifest through the body. And you can start to notice, you can start to acknowledge, what do you feel? You might feel teary, you might feel cold or warm or chills for the body, shivering, more sensation in a part of the body rather than another. Drawing these, being able to tell the attention, being able to tell the signs that happen inside, drawing the attention inside to those inner side is such a great exercise that we can do. And it's so helpful throughout life, not just to understand the emotion that we try to repress, but also everything that happens. It is so true that meditation there is not just the version of meditation that is the one where you stay seated, crossing your legs and still and do pranayama and breathing. Meditation can happen when you're in flow with life. It could happen every time that you pay attention within. And when you pause, when you're able to pause for a moment or just let flow with no judgment, any trains or thoughts running through your mind, and noticing what's happening inside. If there's any inside, we'll get another time deeper on the double-way conversation between you and your soul, or you and the universe that can ask it, and that can be surely called for, like it's an invitation. Again, it's a two-way communication. But that practice of looking within and paying attention, it's so helpful. So I'll tell you this. First of all, expanding more on the emotions and the soul that communicates via the pains in the body, emotions or trauma or any important message. There's a few books that can be supportive of this understanding and that you may want to digest or discover at your own time. One, for example, is called Soul Speak. Now, there's a few versions of Soul Speak. One is the one written by Julia Cannon, the daughter of Dolores Cannon, which is the amazing inventor. She dearly passed years ago. She developed the quantum healing hypnosis technique method, which is a way of hypnotherapy and bringing people through a safe way of trance in hypnosis to see life regression. Now, normally it's called past life regression, without going now into the concept that everything is here now. We may call it other lives. And then there is a part, which is more of a healing part, where the person would communicate with the soul and trans-channel their soul. So those messages with the soul comes through. I'm sharing this because as a practitioner, I get to experience that. So there's so many material that you can look online, even from her or other practitioners around the world. There's many books. Another book from another scientist was Many Lives, Many Master. Such a wonderful book, also talking about something similar, the experience of people experiencing life regression or hypnosis and be able to access information. Now, the reason I'm sharing this is, at least with QHHT, so often the soul would give the messages and would be able to explain what is the message behind the body pain, what is the message behind what we feel. I would encourage a person to do more meditation, to practice more self-love, to practice more self-acceptance, and surely to accept others in the way they are. And that's the greatest expression of love as well. Not wanting to change others. Obviously, if we realize we can help or other people ask for help, that's a different story. But if someone has some personality traits or behavior that triggers you, and let's talk at least within the family, one of the most beautiful things, like that unconditional love, is to accept without wanting to change them. Accept the person where they are, as they are in that moment. And then of course you can have a conversation, but always respecting where the other person is at. And just embracing the diversities that we have with one another. The other day, another beautiful message was channeled through me about that comprehension that we humans should give more of one another, that leaving space for one another, that letting go. And in relation to losing someone, another common message that I hear through these experiences and that I've heard and in a way lived through so many others that share near-death experiences, other spiritual works or mediums, is it is so helpful for the soul. So sometimes, like when a person passes, even just to giving them permission to go is one of the most beautiful things that can be done to allow that transition. And I understand this may be a very triggering topic for some people. I don't mean to trigger anyone. I don't mean to force anyone to change their opinion. But if you would have asked me years ago if I would believe in reincarnation, my answer would have been no. But I'm, in a way, happy that since a child, I always had that open curiosity. So it's like, okay, make a judgment on what resonates with you or not. But if you're willing to stay open and to remain curious throughout life, and then you always empowered to make a decision of what resonates with you or not. But things may change in a way that is actually surprising for the better. So when I found out, when I collected so many evidence that for me at that point, the fact that it's not over with this bodily experience, this is not the beginning and the end, there's much more. Like the soul always continues on the journey, which is all interconnected with everything that's around. It's all one consciousness. All is one and the one is all. I have to say the truth, and that was actually more liberating. I'm very happy to hear other people's comments and experiences about it. Where are you at the moment? Or if there was any pivotal moment in your history where you changed or expanded your perspective, share in the comment below. But that fact was actually liberating, like to understand and to be open to the idea that when we incarnate, we actually have a plan. The soul already has a plan for the vessel, for the body, an entry point and an exit point. And now things may change through life, but there would be those key events that are decided and are going to go through. Like, for example, you may, just to make a simple analogy, you may decide that you're going to go from Rome to Sydney. Now, which route are you taking? When we come in the vessel, in the physical body, we do have the free will, so we may choose and we may adapt things as we go. From my understanding, then, so we have already decided. There's already an idea and a plan of when to pass. The soul may need an experience of a shorter life or a longer one. And allowing space and asking for validation in other ways that we'll see another time. To the universe, speaking to your soul, we always right to ask questions, but we need to open the door to ask those questions. If not through an hypnotic regression, those things could also be achieved through meditation with consistent practice. And there are other different ways, such as channeling, automatic writing. So this may surely be quite a delicate topic, with so much gentleness and without aiming to change anyone, but eventually, possibly to leave that consideration open. If one is willing to learn a little bit more, or to try experiences, to read books, to listen to other people's story. At this point of my journey, where so much has changed, open up, I'm very comfortable with the fact that we're infinite. We come from that one source that is infinite, and as extension of that source, the experience within the body is an experience to learn, to create, to co-create. Suffer is on the other polarity. If you listen to Esther X, she would refer to the end of the stick. In the Kabbalion, it would refer to the poles, like the love and the hate, the light and the dark, the two different ends of the poles. I often refer to as the gradient. So there would be a degree of suffer, there would be a degree of joy, and it's our ability then to navigate through life, learn the lessons that the soul has set for that life. There might be themes or patterns, and continue on in a way that is, if you open up to it, can be even fascinating. Coming back to when the person decides to end the experience unhurt, I'm quite satisfied. I came across so many literature, experiences, stories, that yes, I'm okay with the fact when we come to the end of our bodily experience, that was decided. And so sometimes what I hear also from PhD and other people that have studied more psychoanalysis and things in spirituality is the soul would take longer, also so much from psychics and medium, reporting from spirits and afterlife experiences. The soul may take longer than to ascend into higher frequency if the people around are still processing a lot of the grief or needs more support to go through. So this may be very out of the box for some, but if it makes sense that we can talk and we can communicate and we can receive signs from our soul and from the universe, then we might as well be open to the fact that through telepathy, through wishes, through prayer, through messages, through intention, we may connect to people that have passed. And sometimes, like with a psychic or empaths would feel that connection a little bit more. Like I personally had experiences where I had relatives passing away. I just was told one that when I was 4 years old, grandfather passed away, and I was not told then. My family needed to go and travel to another city in the south of Italy for the funeral. And they didn't tell me because I was too little, they didn't want to share that information with me. And when they came back, I was talking about I had seen grandfather nearby me in the room. Obviously, this would have not been possible. He was already passed on that day. And so for psychic, this would be very easily. In that sense, that would have been a clairvoyant expression of the spirit trying to communicate the present, like passing the love, coming and like giving you a caress. So sometimes I have so many other stories. When as we grow, most of us, we shut down this soul ability to know, to see, to feel, to hear. We shut them down because society is not too happy with that, and because it might be too much, it might be scary, maybe because the soul has another plan for us. You'll figure out for life. Sometimes they could still come up as a feeling. I hear so many like mother, father, daughter, a dear friend passed away, and they would have synchronicity or that feeling of a caress close by. So the little parenthesis that I would like to do with this video is, when it comes to those signs, yes, if you're on board with this, these are real. If you're still not open, then you might decide one day to be open-minded and just to consider and see what happens. But when you do, discernment is always important. You are always in charge to make a decision. If you want to trust something or someone blindly, go ahead. You also have the right to ask questions. You have the right to discern. You have the right to wanting to have proof and evidence and validation. So remember, it's a two-way communication. It's a two-way co-creation. I'll make an example. It makes sense that when you receive a text message, most of the time, it's an authentic text message from a friend, business, family member. We also have scams. In the spirit world, it's no different. So there may be what it's called tricksters or negative energies or entities and beyond that. As we have experience with technology, and even now more with AI, the more we progress with AI, with tech as humans, the more the level of the challenge, therefore the level of discernment that we need to understand and distinguish what is true, what is not, what can we trust, what should we not trust, what is not safe for us, increases. And so discernment, I keep saying this, it's going to remain one of the number one skill. Dana, there's a small series and 5 human superpower, and for sure, we have compassion and love and integrity and courage and resilience and being present in the moment. But one for sure is discernment, the ability to discern what is true, what is not. So how do we apply that to spirit? Well, for example, I know so many authentic medium and psychics, but there are so many that are not so authentic and maybe just want the money. So it's good to have for validation, it's good to give us less information at the beginning as possible, or just ask for something specific that only you know, that you would know. What happens if, coming back to the emotions or the senses I was describing earlier, as you see something, or for example, when my grandmother passed away, I was here in Sydney, I was giving an exam, I didn't know, my grandmother was in Italy, and exactly, we reverse engineered the time later on with my family. When she passed, I was giving my remedial massage practical exam, so I was, okay, energized, nice and up. I start to feel heavy. I start to feel heavy in a way I cannot describe, and I feel tingly, I feel fear, I feel so heavy, I feel like the body wants to leave. I feel like the soul wants to leave the body. I go back on the wall, I lower myself all the way down, sit on the floor, and I was not able, I couldn't understand what was going on. This is very different than fainting, for those of you who may wonder. It was like that deep emotion, visceral emotion. And I felt like this is not mine. And it in a way, it was like a cut doll, but it was so profound. And I stayed in that way for like 5 or 10 minutes. And I'm appreciative to the teacher that was wonderful and compassionate and understood. 10 minutes. And then I started to come back, okay, now, like nothing happened. I'm okay, I'm energized, back to the exam. So to say, even if we shut down the gifts of visions of others, there are still the signs. It might not be so obvious, but I heard so many of, yes, well, I've heard like tingling, or I see like that song that we used to play together, it comes up every day, I don't know why. There might be signs. There might be signs around you. If we are in our review all the time, it's going to be much, and the brain with its logic, beautiful ability, is blocking the way all the time. It's going to be so much more difficult for those messages to come up. Those of you who are really open to spirituality, are 100% on board. If you want to share your experiences, please do so. I would so much love to learn and hear from you. The others, you could try. When you feel the courage within you, I often say free for free. It's free. It's something that you do on your own. You don't have to pay anyone. If you open yourself, start to ask. And this is where the discernment comes. Because you want to reclaim also that only what is in light and true and love comes through. And so if you're interested, I'm happy to show ways that people can do. That may take a minute, 3, 5 minutes. It's up to you. But these are techniques that can be applied to everyday life. To do a cleansing, and with constant practice, because the technique might be quick to try, but then it's throughout the practice of your days, of your weeks, of the months, and the years that you will develop and see the understanding and discernment. These are things that I do daily, by the way. And as I was saying before, with the example of the text message and the scam or the evolution of the eye, the level of discernment with channeling or with opening up with one person's spirit guides or to other entities, it requires so much discernment. things are evolving so much, not just in the material or technological world. Also with the spirit, as we raise our frequency, more things are going to come up. It's like collective consciousness is more open for that. And so just if you feel overwhelmed or weird things are coming, I would encourage you, look around, try to find for groups or people that are non-judgmental and might even connect you with the right person, because 100% you're not alone. And years ago, like this sort of, I have been burned in other life just to talk about these topics. But today it's just so much, it's just so common. Many people often ask for a book or any recommendation or a movie to support one person's spiritual opening or awakening. When it comes to movie, surely The Matrix and The Truman Show with Jim Carrey are on top of my favorites. The analogy of Jim Carrey is like spot on. And podcast, I always advise Next Level Soul podcast with awesome Alex Ferrari. That opened up so much for me. I started as a neutral skeptic, so I'm not too much into this, but I'm curious, I'm open to know. And then seeing so many stories, one on top of the other, from people that had no connection with one another, the scientist, the normal person, the person with near-death experience, the medium, so many, the person with out-of-the-body experience, so much. And there was this consistency of the messages. Yes, some people had their unique way of experience, but the base, the message, the fact that everything is infinite, and so many other more specific aspects always had and kept that consistency. And that was really started to go. And the response from the universe was like, okay, you're still curious to know? Come with us. And so much more open other than that. But with today's message, I really want to close with so much light and kindness for all the people that are either lost at year one or are going through something challenging. Please seek for help, someone that you can talk to. Here in Australia, we have so many services even where you can stay anonymous if you don't want to disclose too much, or your name, or you haven't got anyone in the family that you can talk to. Spending time in nature, it's an awesome thing. Many services are on the phone when it comes to online or phone counseling as well, and whether disclosing who you are or keeping it anonymous. Connection with pets, with nature, with anything that gives you joy, anything that, it may be art, it may be creativity, it may be painting, it may be dancing for some people, it may be cooking. Give yourself permission to open that emotion. Give yourself permission to process that. And as you keep going, when you're going to be ready to open, just know that conversation, it does not end here. That conversation with your own soul, with your own spirit guides, and with the soul of the person that passed, it's available if you want to. Don't trust me, don't take my words. But you can go ahead and look and investigate and just stay curious and ask for the questions. And if you want me to share more processes or point you out in the direction of other teachers or methods or books, I'm more than happy to do so. But when we stay open, then so much more can not just unfold, but it becomes much easier. Wouldn't it be easier to know that we always support it? And it's not about sugarcoating things, because don't get me wrong, like passing with the ending of experience, that's so hard. And it was such a beautiful message the other one, someone was saying that grief, it's so personal. Grief may last a minute, grief may last a month, grief may last a lifetime. There's no expiry date on grief. Just be sure to be very kind and gentle with yourself and allow that to happen. And if you're willing to, explore, like you not only can ask for signs to the universe and the person around you that connection is there, but also continue to give love to yourself and the others. One highlight that I've heard so many times is also when we give permission to pass, we help them so much then to raise their frequency and to continue in their soul evolution that they need to, and they're always going to stay there and available to us. Could be for small signs, could be again that song that popped up, or that message, or that perfume, the flower, the memory that used to connect you two together. You need to ask to receive. You want to stay open and just flowing. Allow things to flow. When we shrink in, when we're not able to let go, yes, of course it takes time, but the more we are not able to let go, and the more there is resistance and processes may slow down. Sometimes actually the most beautiful things that we can do is to allow things to flow and just ask for guidance. Ask for guidance with so much love, so much light. Ask for guidance, as it's always there. It's important to discern, but it's always there. I'll leave you for today. Thank you so much if you stayed till the end. See you next time.